Hey everyone, welcome to another Tip Tuesday. This Tuesday is a part of the Residency Series, and the theme for this Tuesday is U.S. applications. Now, the first thing to discuss with respect to this topic is all the different bodies that you will be interacting with along your process. So, as some of you are aware, ECFMG basically issues exams and schedules exams alongside with you. You schedule them through Prometric, but where you register for your exams is through ECFMG, and they hold the ability to be able to give you certification to allow you to practice in the States. ERAS is the application forum for which you actually do your residency and fellowship applications through, and they organize that. And NMRP are the bodies who essentially make the match for you. After you go through your application process and hopefully your interview processes, you will rank your schools and your schools will rank you. And from that, NMRP actually goes through that and organizes you accordingly. So that's just a big heads up on the different individual bodies in which you will be interacting with through your application process. Now that you have that packed, let's talk about the timeline, because that's very important. By this point in time, if you are applying for this year, you would have gotten a token for yourself. It's not too late. You can still get a token for yourself if you'd like, but tokens were made available by ECFMG as of June 23rd of this year. By the end of this month, ECFMG will publish the registration process for which various applicants can decide which pathway they are applying through. As some of you are aware, due to COVID-19 and this whole pandemic and how it affected everybody's exams really and everyone's work for this year, ECFMG has agreed to lay out 5 different pathways in which individuals can apply through. Now, there are requirements and there are certain assumptions prior for the applicant to adhere to. So do look that announcement up and review all the different pathways to see for yourself where you may or may not fit. Obviously, if you have completed all of your examinations, this does not apply to you. However, for those who are concerned about the different certification pathways, do take a look if you have yet to do so. I would also like to note that this certification is a temporary certification. That means that for this year, if you are eligible for those pathways and you are eligible to get certification by ECFMG, great. You go through your application process, you go through your interviews. The best case scenario is that you do get accepted by a residency program and you do complete your first year of residency well. If you do, you will be exempt. If not, you will have to go through whatever the required processes are. So that means that if you do not match for this year, you may not have eligibility with that certification for the next year's match. So do keep that in mind. Plan your exams accordingly. Additionally, from that, in terms of your timeline, by September 1st is when you will have to begin your submissions to residency programs. So that means that ideally your application should be completed by then. And your application through ERAS looks something like having a section where you can upload everything for your CV, including your academic items, your extracurricular activities, your publications, everything like that goes into that section. Your letters of recommendation are required documents. Additional required documents, including your personal statement, your MSPEs, your transcripts, all are organized through that within that. By September 1st, that should be your deadline to have everything ready to go and have the programs in mind which you are trying to apply out to. By October 21st, your school should be releasing the MSPE. Well, your school should be uploading your MSPEs for you prior to that, but essentially your MSPEs will be released by ERAS to the various schools. Now, there have been a lot of questions around MSPEs. What you can add on them and what you can't. Yes, MSPEs are another form which can showcase who you are and what you've done in medical school. However, it is meant to be an academic document. So that means that anything that you've done within your school, your performance on your rotations, direct commentary from your senior supervising physicians, direct commentary from your electives, things in which your school can back you up on, would go into that. It's not an additional document to showcase additional things on your CV which you have done personally outside of school. It is just to basically give a clear academic perspective of you. From that, in January, your NRMP results will come out, and then you'll know if you've matched or not for that iteration. If not, SOAP will come in closer to March, and that's essentially like a second iteration for the states. With respect to your interviews, they can begin as early as within September, or even as late as just before NRMP results are given out. Really, it all depends on the programs, how they feel about you, where they put your application with regards to their own items in which they're looking at everyone. And I do believe that this year will be a little different in terms of how they assess different applications, because as we've known before, your completed examinations and your scores are good indicators of the amount of interviews which you may be able to hold. With that, we have additional tips from our fellow colleague who is currently practicing in the States and recently matched this past year. So, enjoy.
Hi everyone, my name is Ola, or Dr. Huzo. I'm a first-year family medicine resident in Chicago, Illinois. I grew up in Toronto, Canada, and I completed my science degree at McMaster University. I then went abroad to the Caribbean to complete my medical degree and also completed all my clinical rotations in the States. So my tip for applying into residency, especially for the States, is to make sure you have a completed application. This means having your exams finished. Step 1, CK and CS. If you're still waiting for results but you've already written the exam, that's okay as well. However, as an IMG applicant, it's more ideal to have everything already listed out and available to whoever's reviewing your application. Don't be shy to include information about yourself, what makes you you. Things that you enjoy doing, hobbies, or extracurriculars. Chances are, if you get an interview, you've already made the program's cutoff or what they're looking for academically, but each program likes to accept residents that will also fit the team dynamic. So if you like to cook, write that in there, and what kind of food you like to cook. That's just an example. Tons of different hobbies. So make sure you write that there. A lot of people miss out on that. They either don't fill that out or completely neglect that portion. And you have to understand, like, residency is going to be at least 3 years with that group of people. They want to see that you do have a personality. On my personal interview trail, a lot of the interviewees would ask me questions on my CV about my hobbies, and it seemed like they were more interested about talking about things like that than more so my exact score on a certain exam. So I think it's very important to show that there is a humane side of medicine. It's not all just textbook, and what makes you you. Another important aspect for your application is your personal statement. This is very important. Yes, the personal statement is actually often read, even sometimes by the entire program. There were some interviews that I went on where each faculty that interviewed me had mentioned my personal statement or referred to it. So, my advice is to be as genuine as possible when you're writing this. As you can imagine, they read hundreds to thousands of them, and just make yours about you. It doesn't have to be that perfect, worded, cookie cutter sentences, as long as it's authentic and genuine.
Thank you, Dr. Huzo. And just further from that, as there have been changes with respect to the examinations themselves temporarily, as many of you know, the Step 2 CS is currently being replaced with the OET examination. We at the foundation just want to let you know that it will be okay. This OET exam is built on assessing your ability to communicate. Now, if you've been putting in the work for Step 2 CS in terms of your communication aspects, you will be fine. You have a good leg up on this exam and preparing yourself. Now you just have to make yourself accustomed to the way in which the exam is performed. Now, as some of you may have looked into already, the exam assesses your reading, your writing, and your verbal communication. Yes, it will be with respect to medical jargon. It might be with respect to a little bit more terminology with respect to that, some knowledge on certain things to be able to explain your point. That's fine. But again, you have prepared for that leading up to your Step 2 CS. So, treat this as mainly a communication examination. Do your practice assessments, as we always suggest for all examinations, and good luck.